Hello, everyone, and welcome back to OneSoccer. I'm your host for today, Josh Deming, joined by my colleague Alex Gangue-Ruzic, and we are here to discuss Christine Sinclair's final match as the Canadian women's national team took on Australia in a 1-0 victory. They played twice over this past 7 days with a 5-0 win against their B team, followed up by a 1-0 win as well. Alex was up pretty late last night. He was up till about 5 in the morning Eastern time. I know for him it's only 2, but he was at the game. You did a great job there covering the game. I love following along from home here in Ontario. But Alex, how are you doing this morning? And if you could use one word to sum up last night's experience, what would it be?
Yeah, it was. If I was to use one word, I would just say like magical or fitting, just because. Yeah, it was just a good occasion, like great occasion even. Like to see that many people packed into BC Place, all for to send off Christine Sinclair, Sophie Schmidt, Erin McLeod. It's pretty surreal because we were talking before the game with someone offhand, and we're just like, first off, just the crowd, like wow, like when's the last time there's been a crowd like this here? And then you're thinking, okay, maybe Canada, Mexico in the men's World Cup qualifiers 2016, but then you're like, yeah, but that crowd was mostly Mexican. Like that was, it was a split crowd. And you think, okay, it was 2015 World Cup when Canada was playing like Switzerland in the knockouts. You're thinking that's 8 years ago, right? And that's a World Cup game. That's always going to be special. So to think that 48,000, and also fittingly, it was 48,112. I don't know if those numbers were. I don't know if that was fudged or if it was 12. I think that's destiny if it is that indeed that attendance number. But the fact that all of them were there to watch Canada play, to watch Christine Sinclair for the last time, seeing all the Christine Sinclair kits in the crowd, seeing all the signs for not just her, but also some support for some of the other players as well. I think it was just cool to see, Vancouver show up for this national team, because we haven't had that many games in this country over the last 2-3 years, first of all. And, to have an occasion like this, I thought it was great just to see, and deserving for Sinclair, deserving for the entire team. And I think overall, just from when I showed up at the stadium at 5 to when I left at around 11, like there was just, it was super surreal.
What did you make of when the players came out wearing Sinclair kits and Sinclair came out in a Schmidt kit? I know that X really, really liked that. I thought that was a touching tribute from the legend herself, and that just kind of sums up her personality as an incredible career she had. She's always been a leader. She's always been a great teammate. I just think that really showed it there when she had Schmidt's kit on. I really like that.
I think that was a nice touch because, it was quite Sinclair heavy. Obviously, like you saw when you came to the stadium, there's a big thing of Sinclair on the TV. All the players came out of the bus wearing the Sinclair goat hoodie. Even Sinclair had one on, so I think they might have just forced her to put it on. Everything had some sort of Sinclair memorabilia on it. So it was touching that, hey, like at the same time, Sophie Schmidt's a BC icon, over 200 caps. Obviously, she comes, from nearby Abbotsford. It's a special occasion for her last game, and, she put in a lot of service to this national team, was there when, they won gold. It was good that she wasn't forgotten on a night like this. Of course, she got a huge ovation when she came in. They celebrated her before the game. But it was a nice touch that, that Schmidt and Sinclair too, it's important to remember that in terms of this national team goes, like they were synonymous with each other for over a decade, just playing together and getting a chance to, share that moment, I think was super special and fitting from Sinclair.
Yeah, Sinclair definitely didn't want the crowd or anyone to forget, what an impact Schmidt had on this program as well. But guys, for today's stream, if you're with us, be sure to drop a like. Give me one word to describe Christine Sinclair's career. We had Luke say legendary. And what we're going to do in today's stream is we're going to go through all the incredible things we saw last night, starting with this funny post that featured Ryan Reynolds. Towards the second half of the stream, we'll actually talk about the game itself. Maybe what's going to happen going forward without Sinclair there. And all that good stuff. But I think this is a good fitting place to start, because this gave me quite the smile when it said some Canadian celeb shout outs. and it had Ryan Reynolds. So let's sit back and enjoy a little bit of this.
All right, Christine, I just want to wish you all the best, all the love, and all the luck in retirement. I wanted to thank you for inspiring me, my kids all over Canada and the world. You're incredible, and you deserve all the applause that hands could possibly give.
Christine, you have inspired millions of people. Your example, your determination, your grit, your skills, it's inspired so many. And I can't wait to see everything you're going to do next.
Hi there, Christine Sinclair. Just want to congratulate you on an absolutely incredible career and wish you all the best for retirement. And I would love to thank you for everything that you've done for Canada and for soccer fans across the world.
I want to thank you for the wonderful career that you've given us. You've given so much of your life. You are a true class in sophistication and greatness personified. Congratulations. We can't wait to see all the wonderful things you have coming next.
Congratulations, Christine, on an amazing career. One of the greatest ever doing. All the best.
Hi, Christine. It's Billie Jean King, and I want to congratulate you on an amazing career. You're a game changer and a groundbreaker, and I can't wait to see what's next for you. Keep going for it.
To know that you were out there wrapped in the Canadian flag, competing, giving people something to cheer about was beautiful. It was necessary. It was important. And I cannot wait to see what you're up to next. None of us can wait. You go get it.
It was an honor to interview you after you were chosen as the flag bearer for the closing ceremony. It's been thrilling to watch your career unfold. I want to send you every good wish, Christine. You're a great champion.
Fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that. They kept, I don't know if Alex, if you caught that, but they kept saying, can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a theme I found last night. What's next? What's next? Project 8. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but from what we heard last night, it seems that in some way, shape, or form, in whatever way, shape, or form, that Christine Sinclair wants to be involved in Project 8, she will get that opportunity. I think that's fairly obvious once her playing days with Portland come to an end. What would you like to see if she does have whatever she does with Project 8? Player, coach, some other form. What would you like to see, Alex?
Yeah, I think definitely you want her involved in some fashion, just because due to her incredible career, soccer and Christine Sinclair are pretty synonymous in this country. So I think there's no better way to launch a women's league than have, the probably just the greatest soccer player the country has ever produced, period, to have have her support behind it in some fashion. I think in the dream world, it's maybe she plays a season. It's a lot to ask, say, okay, commit to 3 seasons, but I'm sure, Diana Matheson's in her ear being like, all right, just 1 season, you only have to play 20, 30 minutes a game. But I mean, what a push that would be, I'd say, for the league to have her in year 1, just because, someone that all fans can identify. And then maybe from there you can get into coaching, you can get into management, you can get in all that off-field stuff. It's interesting to hear a lot. Players mention that she really did a good job at coaching. I think it was, I can't quite remember which player mentioned it. Might have been like a Vanessa Gilles or someone like that. But then Bev Priestman also talked about it. Like, coaching is something that a lot of people see from Sinclair, just the way she sees the game, but also the way she, explains and processes the game. Sometimes great players can struggle to coach just because they're so naturally talented that they, what do you mean you can't just take the ball, dribble through 2 people and put it top corner? Whereas Sinclair's always done a good job of teaching and whatnot. So maybe a coach could be in her future after.
I would like to see 1 season. Luke Harry said it in the chat as well. I think 1 season of playing would be fantastic. Just kind of, just wrap everything up, get her in there for the first ever season. And then I agree. I'd like to see her go to coaching. I'd want to see her still pitch side, just showing the knowledge that she has. And that's a really good start, because she'll get the opportunity. She can pick whatever team she probably wants to and be like, I'm going to be the coach. But yeah, I just think she's still gonna have a very special career after playing, and I think it could be pretty cool to see it get started. Basically, pitch side, pick a team and see what we can do there, Alex.
Yeah.
But knocked off of OneSoccer, and I had to scroll all the way back down.
I'll say maybe, yeah, we'll see. Probably you have to imagine she picked something in BC. So I mean, maybe the
So.
Vancouver Whitecaps could have an edge for their former player. But if not, I'm sure she could maybe be convinced to head elsewhere. Although she's about as West Coast as it comes, right? Like grew up in Burnaby, played like 14 years in Portland. So I imagine it'll be hard to keep her away from her family on the West Coast.
I think you're definitely right there. As we go through the timeline of what was beautiful picture as well, 555 caps, 42 years of combined service, one final night. Alex, when you look back in the memories of these two legends, I mean, there's so much to stick out. I know I keep asking you these tough questions, but like, is the moment that kind of brought it all together? Is it always going to be that Olympic gold? In last night, I saw a lot of tweets being shared, and one thing that I kept seeing was the fact that once they won that gold, they were saying no one deserved this more than like these two women specifically. Like, you know, they're talking about Sinclair, and you know she deserved it, but Schmidt was right there with her. Do you think that's the moment that these two will look back after this incredible career and remember with really really good moments?
Yeah, I think that has to be near the top, just because it was the moment that, like, pretty much ever since Sinclair's been in, Canada was kind of, you know, to be fair, they were, you know, a new nation in the women's game when Sinclair was there. Like, they were just at their second World Cup when she played in her first one in 2003, but they were always like fighting to be amongst the top teams, and Sinclair immediately helped them become one of the top teams. Schmidt as well, when she joined her a few years later. Sinclair, of course, debuted a bit before. So I think, yeah, the fact that in 2021 they were able to say for a major tournament they were the top team in the world was huge, because for so long Sinclair and Schmidt were pushing and, you know, trying to make Canada a top team, and they'd come close in other years. Like 2003, they finished fourth at the World Cup, and, you know, were the best they've actually ever finished since. Something that they'll want to improve on. But yeah, I think that Olympic gold was a moment where they finally got that chance to be on top of the world. And I think you can see even now, because I found it fascinating with Sinclair that sometimes players, and I mean, it's also kind of her personality, so it's not surprising, but like, she didn't crack during like these ceremonies. I think during the anthem, you could see that it kind of hit her like, oh, this is the last time I'll be hearing an anthem before the game. And even during all the ceremonies, she was like taking it in a lot more than she would, but she didn't like crack. Like, it was a lot. Like, you could see like some of her teammates on the bench were full on, just like it was tears just flowing. And I don't blame them, because it was a very emotional ceremonies. But even Sinclair, she kind of didn't crack. She was just smiling and enjoying it. And I think after the game, someone asked her, and it was like, I think one of the TV like broadcasts, and she was like, look, I've had a great career, like I have zero regrets. And I think that it partly is because at one point she got to win that major tournament, and she sit back that, yeah, like true, like you're the all-time international goal scorer, over 300 caps. Not many players in international football get a send-off. A lot of top players have gone into the sunset very quietly, kicking and screaming, replaced by a younger player maybe. But Sinclair, the fact that she's still playing at this level, the fact that she was able to earn her own send-off with that many people in the crowd, like, yeah, why have any regrets? And I think the gold medal was a big reason for that. So yeah, I think you could tell just the way she was processing it. It was very relaxed, because sometimes players, it's like they don't want to leave, so like it almost hits them a bit more when you're having a ceremony. Whereas Sinclair is like, you know what, I've done this for 23 years. I've put in a shift. I've you know, had my moments along the way. Like, I'm gonna enjoy it.
I think after the back-to-back bronzes as well, to get that gold in the crazy way that they did, it was incredible. And obviously titles with the Thorns as well. She's a born winner. She's a leader, and she does it with class. I'm asking you guys in the chat, give me one word to describe Christine Sinclair's career. And also we asked some of the women's national team stars their earliest memory of Christine Sinclair. So let's take a look at what some of them had to say.
Honestly, I just remember seeing Sinky on everything. She is a goal-scoring legend, and I mean, she still is a goal-scoring legend. I remember when I was younger, and I was newly into Instagram, and I would just like flip through it, and I would just see like goals after goals of Christine Sinclair. Let alone I watched them play at the Olympics. I watched them play at the World Cup prior to me coming into camp, and then just seeing them in person, I think kind of just sealed the deal for me.
I definitely made a few trips to BMO with my dad and my soccer team to watch the national team play. I was actually a massive Candace Chapman fan, and I think I had Cara Lang's jersey and wore it to school every day. So I've been a big fan of the team, and I mean, of course, everyone's a fan of Sink, and so yeah, I grew up watching them play, and then I think 2012 was probably a key moment for a lot of young players in the country. Just watching that tournament, and especially Sink's performances in that tournament were, it's just incredible.
I immediately think to London 2012. That was my first true exposure to the team and to women's football at a high level. So just seeing how they were able to perform and just make the mark for Canada. Just think of the game against the US and Sinky scoring a hat trick. That really sparked a fire for me. And, I wanted to play professionally, but I definitely wanted to represent Canada one day. So that's really a memory that stuck with me. And I'm just so happy that I've been able to grace the field with her.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember when I got to see them live for the first time in Toronto. It was my first time at BMO, and it was just one of my core memories of growing up wanting to be them when I grow up. And the entire nation got on board in 2012 when they did the impossible and got on the podium for the first time. The entire nation woke up and remembered that women's soccer is great in Canada, and they're the only reason for that.
The hat trick against the States, I can still replay all three of those goals in my mind. It was such a pivotal moment, not just for, players in this country, but the country in whole. And just the ability for her to put the team on her back in that moment is the epitome of what she is to this team. So hopefully we see a couple more of those goals here in Vancouver.
It's funny because where I come from in Sudbury, I think we had 3 channels, and during the Olympics, that was the only time we could see women's soccer players on TV. So I think that's the earliest time that I've definitely seen Christine Sinclair.
Now, it's funny, Alex, and I think maybe we should expect this, but it seems like the hat trick against the U.S. is an incredible moment for a lot of young female players out there that gave them inspiration. Do you think that is probably Sinclair's most famous performance? Because it's funny, it's in a game that they obviously didn't win, but scoring that hat trick and that performance she put in, what are your thoughts? Is that her greatest ever performance?
Yeah, I think so. Because even if you're, that's something if you're Canadian, you remember that moment. Of course, growing up as a youngster, playing soccer, I had an idea of, Sinclair and the women's national team. You kind of, your 2007 World Cup, etc. You knew about the team. They didn't make to the 08 Olympics. And I just remember 2012, it really burst onto the mainstream. Again, growing up, you didn't really hear about any Canadian national teams. You heard about all the teams around the world. And 2012 was a moment where for a few weeks, it felt like everyone was talking about that team and that game against the US. The fact as well that, they've pretty much been the standard bearers of women's football, the US. It's the top team in the world always. So for the fact that Sinclair went out against them in a semifinal, because everyone knew how great Sinclair is, right? Everyone's talking about, okay, Sinclair, I guess at the time she was 29. Everyone's okay, this player playing for Canada who's putting in a shift, and we know how great she is. But then a moment like that, I think everyone around the world, the hat trick against the US, that's unheard of. Thinking of anyone, even these days, if anyone scores a brace against the US, okay, who's this player? This player's top of their game. So for someone to go out and score a hat trick in a semifinal the way that she did, the fact as well that Canada probably should have won that game also, I think, helped the cause that people you know what, they got screwed over. The refereeing got to them. It was just an iconic performance. That was for me one that stood up. Okay, Christine Sinclair, Canada's got something special, and that maybe should keep a close eye. And I think, for example, 2015, we forget it that the World Cup was here, but I think back to the fact they sold out Edmonton in their first game. They sold out BC Place multiple occasions. like that Canada team was rock stars. Like I remember the opening game in 2015. I was in Vancouver, of course. The game was in Edmonton. So me and all my friends put on Canada shirts. We went to the fan zone. It was just bonkers. Like you could see how big Canada was. And I don't think if that doesn't happen in 2012, people don't know about this Canadian team. So really, I think 2012, it isn't just Sinclair, because of course the hat trick, but I think it was also got the team into the mainstream that like, okay, like this team is they can do something.
2012 was massive, and you could just see it from some of the players that Sinclair's playing with right now, some of the younger generation that's coming up. And it's funny, Alex, because that game taught me that bronze medals are not a joke. There's so many people who say like, because I get it. It's like, if you lose your semifinals, just send me home. I think that's really important for the World Cup. Maybe it's a little different for the Olympics, but like, we've seen some pretty dull third place matches in the World Cup. But losing that game to the US, I remembered, like, I was angry. I was pissy. I was young. Like, I remember that moment because I'm like, this is bullcrap. Like, this is complete bullcrap. And it was against the US in that rivalry. And I just remember being absolutely livid. And then the way that it turned to win the bronze and what that meant to the country, it showed me like, the bronze medal is still an incredible achievement. I know, we felt ripped off, but we were able to walk away and we won the bronze. So it was a really good moment for me back then. And then obviously we got the bronze again, and then just kind of full circle getting that gold medal. And it was just incredible. This women's team in the Olympics itself, I think, just lifted this country, and especially when the men weren't doing well either. Like we've heard it for years, like the women are carrying this program because they're the ones that were performing and absolutely deserved it. And now it's great to see the men doing much better and the women still doing incredible things. And I'm hoping once Sinclair, does ride off to the sunset, the next generation can take that inspiration and go on and hopefully inspire again the next generation. And it just continues to build because there's a lot of special moments and a lot of talented players. And last night was just pretty emotional, and that's kind of where we're going to get into now. It's the pregame, that big tribute to Christine Sinclair. I saw probably 200 different tweets about people saying, well, someone's cutting onions in here. Or I said I never teared up, I don't think, before a game before, but that was that hit hard. Alex, how was it being in the stadium? You were in there. A couple people were messaging me like, Josh, you should have, if you were in the stadium, man, it would have hit you even harder than seeing it through your TV. So what was it like being in there? And Alex, did you tear up a little bit, or no? You're a little strong for that.
Oh, I would say it was beautiful in the stadium. And look, I'm a softie. If I was Christine, I would have just been balling out there, just taking it all in. So definitely you could feel it was a bit emotional, and it was special that many people, like the roar. Because I've seen a lot of games at BC Place, and the roar that the fans made when she came out before was just like, whoa, okay, like it's packed in here. You can just look up and see everyone like filled the lower bowl. And then even like before the game, seeing the tifo, just hearing everyone honor her, the video. I think it was just super special, super loud, especially because again, like there was no doubt who those 48,000 people were there for. Like, maybe there's like 30 to 50, maybe 100, 200 Australian fans, couple, like shout out to the fan who had the Kira Cooney Cross fan club sign. Like that was like super awesome and all that. It was mostly, for the most part, Canadians. And there were Canadians there to see Sinclair. So it's just special that the ceremony, like the roar she got, the tifo, even in the game, like every time she touched the ball, it would just be a huge roar. Like you could just hear the anticipation of wanting to see Sinclair do something, realizing this is the last time that we'll get to see it in the Canadian colors. I think that was special because, look, there's many games in this world. Like how many do you get to go to where 48,000 people are there just to see one player play and do their thing, right? Like I can't think of many. Like I can think of, like, for example, I was fortunate enough to once go to a Barcelona game, and okay, most people are there to go see Messi, but even then, like they're also all just Barcelona fans. Like I think it's like, again, like the fact that so many people are there to send Sinclair off, like that's unique, and you don't see that with very many players. Like that's that's players at the top of their game that get that sort of send off, and people that have transcended the sport. And that was for me the biggest thing, that roar that she got on multiple occasions.
I mean, it was deserved. I don't think there was a better way to send her off. She was able to go to BC, the fans were absolutely incredible, and she's someone who scored 190 goals in 331 appearances. This is if there's a moment that someone deserves, it is this. It's a beautiful goodbye. There was some complaints, Alex, about her only lasting 58 minutes. What were your thoughts on that? Would you like to see her go a little bit more? I thought before the game that she would have played 78 minutes. I think I said this a few weeks ago to you. I thought with 12 minutes remaining, because they're not going to sub her off with 12 minutes into the game, but with 12 minutes remaining, sub her off, bring on Schmidt, and then they swap the armbands. I was expecting exactly that. We just saw it a little bit earlier than I thought. So Sinclair didn't get her goal, but doesn't, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much. Those fans were there to watch her play one final time. It was a good game as well that they won it. But what were your thoughts there? Do you think you would have liked to see her play a little bit more, or was it the perfect amount to say goodbye?
Oh, I think it was good. Like, I don't think I have any complaints. Like, she was putting in a shift, and last game to go out. Like, I think it's fitting because it's kind of what Sinclair wanted. Because I think the fact that she was able to kind of just, end the career by watching, enjoying, smiling, getting to soak it all in. I think was fitting, just because as such a competitor, sometimes maybe it could be wise to drag her off the pitch. You don't want her, like, I don't know, getting injured in a big 50-50 because she's so committed to getting that win. That it was nice for her just to be able to come off in front of a big roar, pass that armband to Schmidt as well. Because I think it was a big moment for Schmidt. Because I wondered, for example, would she start? And she didn't. And you're like, okay, well, let's also give Schmidt the shine of getting the armband and getting to have that good 30 minutes of just. Schmidt was excellent. Like, that's the thing as well with Schmidt. Like, genuinely, of course, I think Sinclair, like, she could still do a job for this Canadian team. But you can also tell that maybe Sinclair is also kind of like, okay, I've run my race. Yeah, I could be a 30-minute player, but you know what? I'm just going to focus on club and call it a career. Sophie Schmidt, genuinely, with Canada's midfield depth, you could see her still having a role to play, and she was excellent. She was just spraying the ball around the field, made some great tackles. She made one switch as well that just really stood out to me. Like, it was great. Like, it really was great to see Schmidt get that shine for 30 minutes as well. So I think it was just the right amount. Like, it would have been great to see her get 90. It would have been great to see Sinclair score. But also, that was a big thing about Sinclair's performance as well. That, look, she was just a team player. She was herself. Like, there were several times where maybe the crowd would have wanted her to shoot and she passed it off. But hey, she had a couple key passes. She created the one goal. Like, she just wanted to get the win, help her team. She did that, and I think that's what she wanted, just to be able to finish her career smiling on the bench instead of maybe, if she was in the heat of the battle again, she would have been trying to take people, just trying to get the ball off people, leaving a little elbows, being the fierce competitor she's always been. Yeah,
that's fair. I was pretty happy to see her out there in general, and she went 58 minutes. It was good. I still, deep down, yes, I would have liked to see her play a little bit more, but like, again, I think they wanted that moment, like you said, to pass the armband on, and they want to give her more minutes as well. And if there's no one thing about Sinclair that she clearly showed, if she had the choice, hey, would you rather play 78 minutes, for example, and then give the armband to Schmidt, or play 58? She'd probably say 58. It's just the type of player she is. Give Schmidt some more minutes as well. Give her some of the love. It was beautiful. But let me know, guys, in the chat, what is your favorite Sinclair memory? We're coming up to 30 minutes on the stream. It's time to switch gears a little bit towards the game itself. We gave Christine basically 30 minutes of pure love because it was absolutely incredible. But our guy Barca Boy says that I wanted her to score so badly. I'm curious to know how she would have celebrated. It's a good question. I don't know exactly how she would have celebrated. I'm assuming maybe just like just maybe looking up and taking it. I don't even know.
I think just knowing, I think she just would have. What I could have seen is maybe an Ashley Lawrence cross. She just points at Ashley Lawrence and just kind of runs towards her smiling.
You're taking my number 12.
Or something like that. Exactly. You can have this shirt, which, by the way, we're going to have to see for the Olympics, because Canada doesn't, they don't give out players' numbers. Like, that's why you see someone like Latifa Abdu comes in, wears number 30. Samia Wujo wears 26, but at the Olympics, or World Cups, you have no choice. It's going to be very interesting to see who wants to take that 12.
You and I are jersey nerds, Alex, but I've seen a couple clips already of Sinclair joking that almost like Lawrence wants me to retire just so she could take my number. So I would be surprised if anyone else other than Ashley Lawrence gets number 12.
I think that's reasonable. She's worn it at club, but yeah, no, I think that would be Sinclair. Just point. You could even see like when Quinn scored, like immediately Sinclair just kind of ran up to them and pointed and just was like so happy and kind of whispered like "Thank you for scoring" to Quinn, which is funny because Quinn actually talked about it in the mix zone yesterday. That was their favorite memory of the night was Sinclair just coming up like, "Man, thanks for scoring." Like I really appreciate. We needed that. So yeah, I think that it's Sinclair's celebration. You've kind of seen it over the last few years. Like even when Sinclair scored that like 40-yard goal against Nigeria, she just kind of like smiled and pointed to her teammates. Like she's definitely one where, again, if it's a goal for the team, that's all that matters.
Yep, honestly, class on and off the pitch. She's absolutely fantastic. I asked you guys what your favorite memory was. The hat trick against the U.S. easy. That's an obvious one, and her free kick goal against Germany at the 2011 World Cup. A couple good options there. We're gonna watch this final tribute here. I'm not gonna play the 8-minute one, but this one's about 2 minutes. We'll watch this, and then Alex, we're gonna roll into the game. So let me know, guys, in the comment section. But as we watch this, what was your biggest takeaway from the match yesterday? It can be a moment. It can be just in terms of the game itself. Let me know, and we'll enjoy this nice little tribute here.
He started playing because of her. There's a generation of Canadians who only know this sport with Sinclair in it. Many started playing because of her. She was a sweet 16-year-old when she made her senior team debut. Now 40, where did the time go? For Sinclair, the time went into inspiring a nation. 2012 London Olympics, the hat trick against the Americans in the semifinals. The eyes. She wrapped everyone with her passion through those eyes. One Olympic bronze followed by another. Sinclair said what was on every Canadian's mind. The medal should have been a different color. That became the mantra heading into the Tokyo Olympics. Change the color. And that they did. Sinclair scored the opening goal of the tournament for her team and then watched the next generation step up to the penalty spot in the final game and change the color. Christine Sinclair, Olympic champion. Christine Sinclair, all-time leading international goal scorer. Time well spent by Christine Sinclair. The World Cup dream will be a bit of a sore spot, the one trophy that got away. But this isn't the time for what could have been. It's time for what did happen. Christine Sinclair lifted her teammates. She lifted her country. She's the reason you see the number 12 on the backs of young players on soccer pitches across the nation. Captain, our captain, thank you for all the good times.
Little emotional, but it's time to move along to the game itself, Alex. And we're going to start from some comments from the Australia coach, Tony Gustafson, saying that, on Sinclair's final match, she didn't want to play the B team. He said that the B team played the first match, trying out some of the younger players. They lost 5-0, good learning opportunity for them. But then they're going to play the competitive squad against the Canadians because Sinclair would want that. He kind of said she wouldn't want to play a 5-0 game just to score against the B side. She would want a competitive match to go out, and that's exactly what they got. This was a drastically different squad to the one that they played where they won 5-0. This was a 1-0 game. It was great to see them get the win. But looking at the game itself, what did you make of it, Alex?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I think the big thing that stood out early was the players were understandably quite nervous, as one would be in a game of this occasion. Huge crowd, all that ceremony as well. It's always rough for players because they came out on the field at 7 local, and the kickoff wasn't till 7:30 because there were just all the ceremonies, and you're standing there kind of cold, watching all this. Just I guess psyching yourself up. So I think it was very nervous, and you could tell that Canada, a lot of their passes were heavy. They had a few switches, a few patterns where they kind of got the patterns right, and they just missed the pass. uncharacteristically. So you could tell that was weighing on them. And then, I think because of that, Australia had a really good start. Like they had this rotation, because I think they kind of capitalized on the fact that on the ball, Canada has gone 3-4-2-1, but in this window, they've kind of experimented with a 4-4-2 off the ball. And it had Ashley Lawrence playing at right mid and Jade Rose at right back. And I think they kind of took advantage of that rotation off ball. And there's a few times when they won the ball back that they kind of tried to draw Jade Rose in more central, with like Mary Fowler kind of playing on her shoulder, and then Caitlin Ford would run into the space. And I know Ford had a few great chances early on. So I think Australia really took advantage of that. But I think when there's that injury to Van Egmond for around the 25-30, Canada regrouped, had a huddle, fixed that tactical problem. And then from there, they really started to wake up and gave Australia a really good game. And as we saw, they probably could have been up 2-0 by halftime with how they ended. So it was a good recovery and response from Canada, I think, after a bit of a quiet start.
So I want to start here because I had it in mine takeaways. I'm pretty sure you probably had it in yours. You did, probably even in your... I'll pull up your halftime takeaways first, Alex. But I want to... If you did them. I think you did. You did. Did you mention... You did? All right. Let's start with Chloe Lacasse. Because Chloe Lacasse put an absolute shift in last night. She's a player that, you and I talked about a lot leading up to the World Cup, saying that, this is a player who for club has been absolutely crushing it. She got her deserved move to Arsenal. And when we talk about someone, like, again, not stepping up to completely replace what Christine Sinclair was, but a player to look at going forward who can put in a shift. She's an engine. She's a creator. She can score. She can assist. She can do a little bit of everything. And I loved watching her game last night. She was getting praised all over social media. If you could kind of sum up her performance and how important you think she's going to be to the program going forward, how would it be?
Yeah, she's dangerous. I think it's fascinating because also, like, Australia, their back line, they've got a good back line. Like Steph Catley, left back, their captain, like playing for Arsenal. Chloe Lacasse on the right side, Lacasse on the left. Her defender is right back, Ellie Carpenter. Like, starter for Lyon, one of the best teams in the world. And like Lacasse had joy. Like she's quick. I think that's the big thing. I think she has this speed and verticality that kind of no one else really seems to have, other than, Deanne Rose, I think, is one who has that. Nichelle Prince does too, although you can tell kind of like post Achilles injury, she doesn't always unleash that speed as much as she used to. So Lacasse is kind of that one winger that, like, you can rely to constantly make those runs. And I think it causes all sorts of problems, especially the way Canada was playing, where they're trying to play out of the back and draw Australia high up the field. Then having that outlet ball where they hit Lacasse a few times over the top or wide. It's tough when you push up to try to close down Canada in space, and all of a sudden Lacasse bursts behind your shoulder. You have to be wary. I think it's going to be a good weapon for Canada to have, because they haven't really always had that speed in the past few years, and it's sometimes made them a bit predictable in their attack. And now you can look at that front three, for example, that we saw this window, like Lacasse, Leon, Prince. They put in a shift, and what I loved about it is that they all had different profiles. That Leon's going to want to cut inside and shoot and be dangerous that way. That Prince, good to hold up back to goal, great at just dropping into the soft spot. And there was one play I think that really epitomized what that partner, for example, Lacasse and Prince. Lacasse made one of those bursting runs, got the ball. Australia kind of panicked to try to stop her. Nichelle Prince dropped back into the cutback zone. Lacasse hit her with the cutback. Prince almost scored. Like, I just love seeing little interplay like that. So no, Lacasse is absolutely crucial to that, and I think we're going to see her start a lot more going forward.
Well, that's where I want to evolve this conversation, Alex, because, like I said, I love what she did at club level to earn, there was a time where she was rumored to change her nationality to try to play for Iceland. So, like, she was away from this program, and all of a sudden kind of coming in the way that she is and being such a vital player. I think a lot of question marks you and I were asking, especially after the World Cup, is it's time to change the system. And we've talked about that. I mean, like you said, they look a little bit like the 4-4-2, but I mean, in reality, I think they're looking for that back three, the 3-4 kind of 2-1. So I think they figured that out, but I really think they figured out their front three. And that was an issue we've been talking about for a very, very long time. Can you, and so maybe a little harsh on Jordan Huitema, but there's no question right now. It's Chloe Lacasse, Adriana Leon, and Nichelle Prince, right? Like these three are thriving right now. There's chemistry every single time we've been watching them lately. I think it's gonna be very difficult for another player to break into that front three in a must-win game, for example. For me, it's those three. They're locked in, and then you build backwards. What do you think?
I think it depends, though. I think one thing I've been curious to see is how Priestman's experimented with their front three, because she's mixed and matched. Like we saw, for example, at times we saw Hoydema Leon Lacasse, and we've seen, for example, I think a partnership that's been really good is Vien and Hoydema. For whatever reason,
big Vien guy.
They've got good chemistry. So I think, for example, what we could see is also matchup based, because against Brazil, can't forget, I think it was Lacasse, Vien, Hoydema started as a three, or maybe it was Leon instead of Lacasse. But either way, it was Vien, Hoydema. They were excellent. Like it was like a bit more direct, a bit more like brute force, but it caused all sorts of problems. I think what Priestman, she always mentions as well, it's partnerships. Sometimes you realize that just some players play better with each other. I think what we could see is that's kind of the bonus now of this attack. I think there's a lot of competitive attackers. Like you look between Lacasse, Leon, Prince, then Rose, Deanne Rose, of course, Evelyn Vian, Jordan Hoydema. Feels like you can kind of almost write those six in pen for the Olympics. Of course, Janine Becky also could be included there, but I think she ends up playing a little deeper to create. But I think of that six, you can almost you'd think most of them will be at the Olympics next year. Of course, actually, that depends if it's 18 or if it's 22 this time. Because if it's 18, they might just have to cut one. But even then, at least 5 of the 6 should be there.
Yeah, it's rumored 22 right now, right?
I'd have to check. I think they're considering it because 18 is incredibly harsh for a major tournament that you play every 2 days. But either way, I think at least 5 should be there, and they're all. What I like is they're all like similar level, but they all have different profiles. And I think we've seen Priestman experiment. Like, Vian, Hoydema, they kind of have a bit more of a brute force, a true number 9 understanding. Whereas that Prince, Leon, Lacasse, what I love is that in Victoria, for example, Prince and Leon would swap. Sometimes Leon would play the 9, or sometimes Lacasse would drift centrally, and they would be really fluid, which can I think there's different profiles. So I think that's what we're going to see going forward. It's just kind of mixing and matching. Okay, maybe some days you go just speed. Maybe some days we'll see Lacasse, Deanne Rose, Nichelle Prince, just a little pacier. But then maybe some days they go Leon, Hoydema, and Vian, just a little more direct, a little more just get that ball up and get in the box. So I think that's the bigger takeaway from this front three, that I see a lot more fluidity, whereas before. And I think that's kind of also naturally the fact that Sinclair was always kind of the main option up front, whereas even as she stopped kind of playing number 9 at club level, she was kind of always the main option up front for Canada. Whereas now, I think there's a lot of options now who can all step up in that front three, and I think that's fascinating to see. One where it's not necessarily a battle, but it's almost like a coach and a matchup based option.
And I mean, that's the best way to do it is matchup based. I'm just more so thinking of that this national team for a while struggled to score goals. And I like the word you use, fluid. That's what I was going to come back with the 3 I mentioned, because they bring something a lot different. The reason I really enjoy liking them together is because Nichelle Prince is one, she's finding the back of the net. She's in incredible form right now. I love that about her game. And like you said, she can switch in and out with Adriana Leon, so they have that ability to do that. I think Chloe Lacasse is just on another level right now. And something that I want to talk about, because I think it's underreported a little bit, is Leon's set piece ability. Corner kicks, free kicks. She puts in a world-class ball. And when you have Buchanan and you have Vanessa Gilles looking for headers, I think that is such an added bonus. And when she wasn't on the pitch earlier, nothing against Jessie Fleming, I absolutely love watching her game as well, but it's kind of like in terms of set pieces, she just puts in such an incredible ball, and she does it so consistently that when she's not on the pitch, you kind of lack a little bit there. When you have, like I said, Buchanan and Gilles in the box like that, those are always going to be opportunities to create, just because she can put in such a deadly ball. I know I've seen you tweet about it a little bit as well, Alex, but do you gotta agree with the fact that when Leon's on the ball over a set piece, it just makes it a little bit more dangerous?
Yeah, I don't know what.
Am I being too harsh? Am I being too harsh on Jessie Fleming? Am I being too harsh?
I'd say Leon's got a good ball, but also so does Fleming. I think Fleming yesterday put in the ball that led to the first goal, and she also put in the ball that led to the disallowed goal that was ruled off for a foul. So yeah, I think there's two good takers, but I think it's good to have that mix. That Fleming, she's better at that more like floated ball. Like you kind of see it here where she knows how to kind of pick out her target, whereas Leon just kind of has this curler on her where she can just kind of, get a little more whip, a little more power on it. Whereas Fleming has a bit of finesse, as we'll see on this goal. Like just, the way that Canna kind of knew as well, and it kind of floats in your post. Sinclair is able to flick. Buchanan gets the shot. Quinn, right place, right time, finishes home. So yeah, I think there's also the option on set pieces, and yeah, set pieces are going to be crucial because you look at Canada this year, they kind of struggled to score goals early on. Set pieces were a big one. I think Eveline Bien, Vanessa Gilles scored against Brazil, and she believes both off set pieces. But other than that, it's been a bit quieter on set pieces than they would have liked. So it's good to see that over the last two games, they've just been chance after chance after chance, all off set pieces. Because, I'll always say for a team that starts Vanessa Gilles and Kadisha Buchanan, and look, Jade Rose she's pretty tall herself. I think if she wants to, she can be a force in the box. Samuel Wujo as well, if you get more starts, can be a force in the box. Knowing how to use these set pieces will be crucial. And again, I think that's what's going to be fascinating about this team. Like we mentioned, like with the front three, like with the set pieces, this team is what I'm seeing right now from this team, and that we can be encouraged about going forward, is that there seems to be a lot more ways to score and to generate offense that are within their ranks. And I think they're finally starting to realize that. I mean, it's been 3 games in a row where they've been scoring goals, generating a lot of chances. Plus, they're also keeping their lines defensively. So there's a lot to like, it feels like, right now in that regard.
Absolutely. So let's shift to the back line a little bit. I want to talk about Jade Rose because she's been one of my favorite players to watch lately. And I think I really like that back three with her, Gilles, and Buchanan. But we have a comment here from Memphis 14 saying it's disappointing that Jade Revere will never get the respect that she is due. So, Alex, I can throw it over to you. What did you make of her game? And is she a little undervalued in this squad?
Yeah, I think it's just tough because I think her best position's on the right. She's been playing really solid lately for Manchester United. She's had a good uptick in form and is starting a bit more regularly. But unfortunately, I think the one big thing is that, yeah, she's best on the right. And I think Canada also, we saw a lot of Riviere and Lawrence together, with Riviere on the right, Lawrence on the left, and Riviere was excellent for Canada. I remember how good she was in 2020. Even 2021, 22, I think back to, it was She Believes in 2020. No, or it would have been the Arnold Clark Cup in 22. Riviere was phenomenal that tournament. I'm pretty sure she was, because then she got injured partway through, but she was phenomenal before the injury. Riviere can do a job. I think the one thing, though, is that this new formation, part of the reason that it ticks so much is that Lawrence is in her best position, which is also the right, doing her thing. And I think Riviere isn't as comfortable on the left, so it's been a bit quieter for her when she's played. So I think that's the one thing for Riviere, where it feels like her and Lawrence being in the same position kind of hurts her, because Lawrence is always going to start as long as she's in the form she's in. I mean, she had 4 assists in her last 6 games from right wing back for Canada. That's unheard of. She's been a chance creation machine. So I think Riviere is definitely undervalued, and I think that's the fact that if something's to happen to her that year, okay, just Jade Revere step up. But I think it does hurt her a bit that she isn't as comfortable the left side. Not her fault, not her position. And hey, the player that's really continued to impress me is Cindy Collins. The fact that she was drafted as a center back, she can do it all at wing back. She can defend, which is huge. Kind of offers you a bit more cover for Lawrence to be free. She can also get forward. She got decent left foot, right foot. She got creative. What really impressed me about Collins, she makes a lot of the right play. Sometimes attacking players can do too much because they kind of want to be a difference maker. She knows how to just make that 5-10 foot pass and play backwards and slow the game down. Sydney Collins I think is the one where we're looking at someone who's emerged and is making a real strong shout to go to the Olympics. It might be Sydney Collins, because Brev Priestman hasn't always preferred Gabby Carl on that left side, but the way Collins has come in, looks like she could be the starting piece going forward, unless although I do bet we'll see some Janine Becky and Ashley Lawrence experimented with together at some point at wingback.
I was just about to bring that up. Jordan, Jess, and Andy were talking about in the pregame about is Ashley Lawrence always going to play on the right? And Jordan kind of said, yes, that is absolutely where she's going to play, because that's where she's at her best and her current form is showing that. So I was going to throw the question over to you because in your full-time thoughts, you mentioned Collins, and I've been a huge fan ever since she just kind of emerged on the scene. And I was going to ask you, is the left wing back spot hers to lose kind of going forward? And I was also going to mention Jeanine Becky and what you thought of there, but you kind of beat me to the punch. But I will double down on it, and I will say I think it is hers to lose. I think they will give Becky a chance. I don't know. I'm not convinced that Becky's going to be at her best from the. I think you are. That you think in this maybe this 3-5 or 3-4-2-1 system, you think that if Jeanine Becky is going to slot in, it would have to be at left wing back, not as one of the front two. Because I think Collins would do a more well-rounded job at the left wing back role.
Well, I think Collins for sure will do a shift, but I think you have to look at Becky just because her chance creation from deep, I think, is probably the best on the team. Like, she's just, in terms of her ability to deliver a cross from deep, is unmatched. Like 2022, she was a machine. Like, I think she led Canada in chance creation by a country mile. Like, she was just delivering ball after ball from those deep areas. So I think you have to look at it. Of course, you have to also look up front, but I think just up front as well, like, you kind of want that speed from Lacasse, Leon, Rose. I think, of course, Becky is 100% the right to be in the mix up front as well. But I think just her chance creation style also kind of fits being able to create from deep. So I think we could see Becky get a shot there. And again, it could also always be matchup based, right? Maybe if you need a bit more defensive, you can just throw in Collins, knowing that you're just going to get that steady, no nonsense defending at left wing back, and then maybe you play Becky a little higher up the field. Whereas maybe in some games you just go, okay, Becky Lawrence from wide. Maybe you throw a Hoytum up front so she can just get on the end of it, crosses Evelyn Bien as well, and just go, all right, we're going a little more direct. So, because I definitely think Collins is, as it stands heading into 2024, she is that front runner at wing back, but of course, we'll have to see how Becky recovers from her knee injury and how long it takes for her to get up to speed. I definitely think she'll get a look at that wing back position, and she does, just because of her chance creation ability.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'd say she's a front runner, but I mean, Becky's a wild card because, again, coming off an injury like that, you don't know exactly how you want to hope she's going to return at 100%. We're not 100% sure how she's going to return, but she's put the work in, and I'm excited to see when she is indeed back. And it also helps a little bit when you have someone like Buchanan behind you and that outside left center back role to probably give her a little bit more freedom going forward, be able to cover that. But I agree. Just, in general, I think Collins is doing an incredible job. Ken asked if Collins can play the 6. I don't think I don't know, but I don't think we need to probably put her in the 6. I think that she's doing an excellent job at the left wing back role, and we have options in the 6. And I guess, Alex, that's where we're going to go. I know you were impressed with Quinn's performance, Fleming as well. Any other names that you want to throw in there? Maybe Awujo or?
I'd say just for Collins, she can also play left center back, I bet. Just she was drafted as a center back, played center back in college. So maybe there could be a scenario where if Jade Rose needs a rest, maybe you go for a 3 of Collins, Buchanan, and Vigil as well. Right? That could always be an option that allows Becky to get on the field. But yeah, midfield, lots of options. I mean, Jessie Fleming, she's just everywhere. Like, she's making slide tackles in her box. She's making runs into the opponent box. Quinn was just excellent, calm on the ball, which sometimes needed there. Just taking possession. Not knowing just when to make that breaking line pass, but also knowing when to just recycle. And yeah, Simi Awujo is one where I'm thinking, like, it's kind of funny, actually. There's 3 players that really feel like I just stood out to me over the course of this window, and you're really looking at for 2024 and 2027, because they're 3 of the youngest players. It's Jade Rose, it's Simi Awujo, and it's Sydney Collins. Like, that trio, it really feels like could do some damage in this new formation, could really step up. Just the way that Awujo can play on both sides of the ball and be a force defensively, but also has some quality about her. Lots to like, I think, with Awujo going forward. She really had a good shift in her start in Victoria, and it's good to see her back after missing the last window, because I think hopefully maybe at the Gold Cup, for example, she could play a big role and take a step forward.
Absolutely. And we're going to show one more final clip here. Ollie got Sinclair after the match. Final few words before we wrap up the stream. So let's take a look at the GOAT's final words, at least to OneSoccer before she retires.
Christine, firstly, can I just ask you how you're feeling after that?
I mean, I'm always a competitor, so I feel great. We won the game. Super proud of the team, and I mean, this is nuts, absolutely nuts.
What's it been like to take all this in? 48,000 fans, a lot of friends and family, and all of this celebrations tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this type of stuff, it's never my favorite, but I promised myself to enjoy it, and it's been overwhelming. Yeah, I'm going to be on the field with my nieces, and for them to experience this, it's incredible.
How would you summarize just this last week spent with the team and your teammates there?
Like, surreal and the perfect ending.
What are you going to do now?
Celebrate with my teammates, and then enjoy a little bit of downtime.
Much well deserved. Thank you for everything, Christine. Appreciate it.
A little bit of downtime, Alex. Do you believe her?
I could see it. Maybe, I mean, every year she's always had to worry about an international window in January or February, off-season training. She'll definitely, knowing her, she'll probably hit the gym with a vengeance at some point. But I don't think anyone would blame her if she went and spent like 2 weeks in Bali or something like that. Although maybe that's not her style. Maybe for her, a bit of downtime will be just chilling with family up here in Vancouver.
That kind of, I think, would sound a little bit more like her, but it was loud in there. It seemed like it really did seem like Ollie had to scream a little bit to try to make sure that Sinclair could hear her. But that's awesome. Alex, your final thoughts. You were at the game. Maybe try to paint a picture of around that time of the clip we just showed, when the game's over. Sinclair's kind of walking around the pitch. The crowd and the fans are absolutely going crazy. How would you kind of sum up the end to the night?
Yeah, it was a fun end. I think there was a few other they just kind of all ran on the pitch. I think it was funny because Canada, everyone on the Canadian team stayed on the pitch for at least 45 minutes. I think the big thing was no one wanted it to end. At one point they sang some Celine Dion in the center circle. Somehow Katrina LeBlanc got her hands on a mic and it turned into an impromptu karaoke session. And that was a big thing. They also went to the Voyageurs and banged the drums. Did the clap twice, once for Schmidt and Sinclair. Each got a chance to do the drums. It was just kind of it was one of those moments, when something kind of surreal and you just kind of don't want to leave. It was that, it's just no one wanted to really leave. A lot of the fans stuck around, a lot of the players, and it was just kind of fascinating to see how much they were soaking it in, enjoying it, kind of realizing that whoa, once they step off that field and go to the locker room, that's a special moment. That's one of the all-time greats, just hanging up her boots internationally, and you're never going to see her again. I think that was a big thing. Everyone just kind of soaking in this moment and knowing how special it was. And yeah, it was great too that they won. I think that also, of course, they could have lost 3-0 and it would have been a party, but I think the fact that Canada won also made a huge difference, because you can see, knowing Sinclair, if they lost, she kind of she wanted to go out with a win, and yeah. I think that also helped lighten up the mood and helped just keep everyone on light and happy.
And finally, Alex, you talked to a few of the players after the game. Anything come to mind worth sharing?
Yeah, it was a lot of fascinating quotes. I think one or a couple that stood out. Chloe Lacasse just talked about how impressive it was to play with Sinclair, just in terms of the selflessness. How on a night like tonight, there's a few times where it's your night. You're the all-time leading goal scorer. No one's gonna have a go at you if you have a shot from 30 yards. If you take a couple speculative shots, there's one night maybe in another game you'll get reamed out for it. But Sinclair didn't do that. Every time she had the ball, it was always play to the best passing option. She had 2 key passes. She could have had 2 assists, I think. Because there was one where Fleming probably should have shot and didn't. And then, of course, Buchanan hit the bar on one of Sinclair's assists. So I think that was one thing that stood out from Lacasse. Jade Rose had a great quote about her leadership, how, Rose has just been so impressed with the leadership, and that how Sinclair's empowered the entire team to be the leader, and how she thinks that'll be huge as Sinclair leaves, now knowing that all these players have been empowered to step up and be leaders, like someone like Jade Rose, still in college, just 12 caps, that she already feels like she can step up and use her voice. That's a testament to the leadership. Again, another one was Quinn. I just found it fascinating that Quinn had an excellent game, scored a goal. 48,000 people chanted, screaming for them as they scored. Easily could have been like, what was your favorite memory? Like, yeah, that goal was special. No, it was Sinclair after the goal coming up, thanking them for scoring. I thought that was pretty cool to see just what that meant, because that's something you remember. Like, wow, like Sinclair coming up and thank me for that. And then Vanessa Gilles, she's always great and spoke just of how special it was to be in a crowd like that, because she can imagine a younger version of herself being in around and seeing what that moment meant. So there's some great quotes from all around.
That's gonna be in your article. Is it dropped yet?
It just dropped 4 minutes ago.
It just dropped.
A lot of those quotes are all in there. Some of those conversations.
Didn't want to give too many away, but you mentioned a couple before we started streaming here, so I just thought we'd share. But ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end of our stream today. Brings an end to the final chapter of Christine Sinclair. So before we guys go, drop a like on the stream, drop a sub if you haven't subscribed, and from the bottom of my heart, and Alex, I'm yours as well, Christine Sinclair. Incredible memories, and you've inspired just countless people. So best of luck with whatever you do next, and cheers from Alex and I. Bye, guys.